Sam, how you doing, man?
Good. I appreciate you taking the time to let me get on here.
Oh yeah, man, anytime. So you are with Thunderbeast suppressors.
Yep, that is correct.
So we're gonna talk suppressors today.
Sounds good to me. It's my favorite topic.
There's been a lot of talk about suppressors and the $200 stamp fee and you know now the registry and all that good stuff. What can you fill us in on as to what's going on on that side of
Yeah,
things?
yeah, I'll try a little bit. So we've been asked probably a bazillion times about it. We're a big suppressor manufacturer, but we don't get any insight on, like, they don't give us extra information on how stuff is going to go. So we have a couple people that, we work with that end up reading, through all the bills and everything. So it's our understanding as of January 1st, they're getting rid of the $200 tax stamp. You still have to do the Form 4 process. So you still have to do the fingerprints, the passport photo, and still go through the waiting period. So that is subject to change. When the NFA was created, it was based on that tax, but now that tax is gone. There is talks that if there's no longer any tax, that they can fully get rid of, the NFA, basically.
Yeah, well, that would be magnificent. Now,
Yeah.
um, Thunderbeast, you guys, I own suppressors and that's what I own. I bought them when the what do they call it? Super short seven or shorts? What do they call those? The
We got
short seven, ultra seven,
yeah,
ultra seven.
Ultra 7. Yep.
Um, when those came out, that's when I bought suppressors. So however long ago that was, and for hunting purposes, I don't hunt without a suppressor. It's just it makes no sense in my to hunt without a suppressor. It's just your hearing and your, especially if I have kids with me or whatever, it's just, in my opinion, too dangerous to shoot without a suppressor, because you just never know when their ears are when they have their ear protection, whatever. So I just always hunt with suppressors. So from a safety standpoint, I believe they should be. I don't understand. Bottom line is, I don't understand why we have to pay the $200 stamp and why they're registered. I mean, it's better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty silly when you look into, like, a lot of the verbiage when it comes to suppressors and what deems certain things suppressor parts and what's okay and what's not okay. A lot of it has no rhyme or reason. And just as you would know, of all people, um, we make precision rifle suppressors. We don't make suppressors so you can shoot subsonics. They are designed to shoot high power ammunition of all varieties, short action, BRs, and all the big magnums as well. So you cannot suppress the sonic crack. So the fact that the ATF or people elected in office, get too hung up on Hollywood thinking that it's going to make a bunch of assassins out there is just not entirely true, because you still have to deal with the sonic crack. And there's other countries like in the UK, for example, you just go to a hardware store and can pick one up because I think over there you can only shoot suppressed in some of those countries. I don't know why we're so backwards here. Hopefully, that can change to. I've already been kind of doing it, mentioning basically the reason I shoot suppressed. I've got tons of concussions. I've got TBI from the Army. I shot many years before working for TBAC, like shooting PRS matches with a break. And now I've been shooting suppressed. If I go next to the firing line with someone with a break, like I'm, getting my bell rung pretty good, even with double ear pro. So yeah, I think it's a safety thing, and I think that's what ultimately they should look at in terms of just making them more accessible. Which I'm glad after the first, it's not a total win, because you still have to go through the same Form 4 process, but you get to save the $200. So,
Well, they're getting much faster too. I mean, they're getting approved quite fast nowadays.
Yeah, and that's kind of the pros and cons of January 1st. Right now, I just had a personal can like a week or two ago, got approved in like 30 hours. I just decided to pay the $200 because I have a theory as soon as January 1st hits that people are going to be jumping to try to get their suppressors, and it's going to make that ATF background check or lead time, it's probably going to make that bump up quite a bit.
Oh, now they have a massive excuse as well. They're like, well, we don't have any money, you know?
Exactly.
We don't have any money now, so of course it's going to take longer. Yeah, I feel that they're going to figure out a way to make us somehow regret not paying the 200. You know what I'm saying? They might just extend those times to years.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. So I hope it doesn't go that way. When the NFA was created, I feel bad that I don't remember which year, but I think it was in the 30s, like 1934, I believe. That tax stamp was supposed to adjust with inflation, which I'm sure people have seen articles on that. A tax stamp today would be a pretty astronomical amount of money. I don't know the exact inflation rate, but when the article I was reading, it was definitely a couple $1,000s just to do your tax stamp, which is absolutely insane. So the whole process just obviously needs to be reworked in some capacity.
June 26th, 1934 is when it was.
Hey, I got the year right.
Yeah, when it was enacted by Franklin D. Roosevelt. He's the one that started it. So yeah, I'm glad we're not paying the tax, with inflation, but it's still $200, and it still makes no sense. That's the bottom line. Now, as you know, I have I own a machine shop, and we have a 07 FFL, so we could manufacture suppressors. It's not something we want to do. After I looked into it, obviously, like it just would make sense for me to look into it, and it just didn't fit what we do. It's just a lot of paperwork, a lot of kind of like you said earlier, the part you have to keep track of what parts you have in stock, because if I don't remember clearly now, but if you have some parts and they come in and they see, oh, well, you have these parts, but you don't have the paperwork, this could be a suppressor, it just, I don't know. I just had nightmares about doing it wrong, and all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's definitely kind of a nightmarish process. Luckily, when TBAC was started, long ago, they just figured out the best possible ways for doing it when we're manufacturing. So just the way we do our manufacturing, you got to submit a form to basically get permission to build that batch. And then once it's approved, then you can go and manufacture and serialize it and everything. Which, yeah, if you're a shop, let's say you're one of these shops that helps build suppressors for other companies, and you have just if the bore is like drilled out and you have one just hanging out, like that's a big no-no according to the ATF. So we have everything organized in stacks, on carts, going from machine to machine, kind of following through the whole process. So like if you ever get to come by our shop, you should check it out and see kind of how we do it. And then TBAC definitely makes it look easy in terms of the manufacturing side, aside from our, backlog that we're always known for.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I would geek out at the shop, just being a machinist myself. I just love machines and what they can do. So what sets apart TBAC from everybody else? Because I'm not big into suppressors, but it's pretty obvious that you guys are the big dog in town. How does that happen, and why does that happen?
I think how it happens is Thunderbeast was started in 2007. And the three owners, one's prior service, Zach and Ray are competitive shooters that were into if anyone doesn't know, Zach Smith, one of the owners, he runs Competition Dynamics, which is basically the ultimate in the sniper team challenge. So to Steel Safari, Team Safari, where you basically have to hike to a point and find targets given when you get to that pin. So it's really, really tough to find targets. You don't have a squad leaning on you to do win calls. So that's like all they did in the early 2000s. Well, at the time, there wasn't any good suppressors out there. They were stainless steel. They were super heavy. They had really poor repeatability. So that means if you zero with that suppressor on, you take it off and put it back on, you're shifting in some capacity. So they got together, decided to let's make a titanium suppressor that's light and specifically designed for precision rifles. So that's ultimately how it started. There are great suppressor companies out there. Like in this day and age, I'm friends with the guys from Able Company, Andrew from Otter Creek, Allen Engineering. All those guys make great suppressors, and there's really other companies that really focus on like ARs or pistols or shotguns. Our bread and butter is just the precision rifle system. That's what we are trying to maximize performance on, and I think that's what sets us apart. Because when it comes to having a precision rifle suppressor, we're checking runout on every single brake mount and every single suppressor before it leaves the door. So I think this probably ties into it. The biggest culprit that people make the mistake when they're buying a suppressor for like their factory hunting rifle, factory threads are often not cut correctly. So you got to put that suppressor on there. If there's a concentricity issue and that bullet's not going perfectly down the center of that bore, it could lead to a baffle strike. Or what I noticed, and this is kind of my first experience with how important concentric threads are, I wasn't getting close enough for a baffle strike, but the bullet was hugging one side of my suppressor to where I saw some severe vertical stringing downrange. So my 100-yard group, I was like, sweet, this is great. And then I'm shooting, verifying, at 500 and past. And I'm like, why am I getting like 0.6 of vertical everywhere I'm, shooting? Well, brought that barrel into work, chucked it up in a lathe, and it had about 20 thousandths run out, which to some people wouldn't think is bad, but every suppressor that we check run out for has 1 to 2 thousandths run out. So, you kind of stack those things up, and
well, not only that, you have 20 thousandths, and then the length of the suppressor. By the time it gets to the end, that's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. So that can cause all kinds of issues. So that's really what separates us from the other companies. We don't dog any other companies. There's a lot of companies that I really like that I actually have suppressors from. I really feel like we have the best suppressor for the precision rifle world, and it kind of shows. Since Thunderbeast has been around since 2007, we've developed, and we're always trying to update and upgrade our line to kind of where we're at now. So we have really lightweight suppressors. We have suppressors that are maximizing suppression, recoil reduction, kind of everything. And, they're heavily used by law enforcement and military as well. I can actually talk about this now. So there was a Secret Service contract that came out for their looking for sniper rifles. It specifically states, if your rifle does not work with the Thunderbeast Arms Ultra 9 or Magnus, we don't want it. So we thought that was pretty cool. Although, some might judge that, blame them for not being able to shoot on an angle roof, apparently. But
oh boy,
I give props to the guys. They do a good job, and we've got to meet quite a bit of them, and they're solid dudes.
Yeah. I've shot your suppressors, like my Ultra 7 is great, but your newer stuff, my goodness, the recoil reduction is incredible. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We got a video of you at the Precision Rifle Expo in Arkansas. You guys put a 22 case on the Dasher you're shooting, I think, from Zermatt Arms.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I had been shooting at 22 and I had a casing and I said, you know what, let's do a real test. And I just put it up there and I said, all right, let's see if it'll stay. And it stayed. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, so our suppressors are already doing really well in terms of like the suppression. So where do you go from there? Like a lot of them are already getting below the sonic crack, and you can't suppress it. So kind of where do you go in terms of evolving from there? Well, everyone who shoots a little bit knows that shooting a brake versus a suppressor is two completely different impulses. You know, the brake being a quick punch that keeps you on target easier, as the suppressor is a softer, elongated push that lasts a little bit longer over time. So like, what if we could meet in the middle of that? Knock out all the concussion, give you suppression, but give you recoil reduction that feels similar to a brake. And that's kind of where the RR reduced recoil or race ready series kind of came alive.
Yeah. You guys also had a much larger cartridge. What was it, a 338 Lapua or something?
Yeah.
Forget what it was. Or 300 Norma?
We did some testing for some contract stuff for a 375 Swiss P, which it's ammo made by Ruag. There's no other ammo for it. I think it's 338 Lapua necked up to 375.
That's what it was.
And it's
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I shot that thing at the same expo. And
okay, yeah.
It was incredible how I could see my off a tripod, not prone, but off a tripod. I was able to spot my hits at 850 yards from that massive freaking rifle, like cartridge, not the rifle. I mean, the rifle was big, but I can't even imagine, because I've also shot the 50 BMG, and it's incredible the recoil reduction.
Yeah. So from the 50, to that 375 Swiss P, that was the goal, is to get rid of all that overpressure and concussion and give the shooters more recoil reduction so they could make better follow-up shots and just kind of stay on target a lot easier. That 375 Swiss P, I used it for the KRG ELR Extreme that we have in our area, an ELR match. They literally gave the rifle to me a week before, like, hey, you could shoot this for this match. I had maybe an hour and a half with it, and the range, I only had access to 1,000 yards. So during the match, I was truing the BC after each stage. It's a 350 grain bullet, and it was going like 2,800 feet per second. And the BC obviously was a lot lower than what was published for it. So I was like in there really tuning it down to make sure everything would line up. And I think last year, there was like 180 guys and I got 15th. And that was my first ELR match ever. So for ammo that comes in a steel ammo can, surprisingly, the SDs were under 7.
Wow.
They were insanely consistent. I was honestly surprised because we shoot a lot of like M118 LR, which is the 308 sniper ammunition that shoots 175 as SMKs. That stuff varies from lot to lot. The SDs are terrible. Primers don't work. So I was really impressed with basically this military ammo, for a ELR style cartridge.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, you say you don't make suppressors for subsonic. What is the difference between them?
So subsonic ammunition is where it's reaching the speed below the sound barrier, which I think is like around 1,100 feet per second, obviously depending on environmentals and stuff like that. So basically it's going to be not omitting a sonic crack. Our suppressors are going to work great for subsonics. When I described that earlier, I was more meaning we want to suppress supersonic ammo and suppress it really well. You can run subs through all of it. There's been a lot of inquiries for like the 338 ARC, and we make all our Magnus suppressors in 338, so we have different sizes. So that has been a prime candidate for those guys running either shorty 338 ARC bolt guns or gas guns. So they can choose. There's a really short one, a middle length, and a full size one. All of them suppressing really well for their length, weight, and size, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I see. So you said you went in the Army. What did you do there?
I was in the Army. I was actually in Texas, around where you guys are at. I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
As a part of the CAB unit, I was a tanker on that Abrams M1A2. Started as a loader. I couldn't fit in the driver's hatch, so I was not fortunate enough to drive. And then eventually became a gunner. And what piqued my interest, ultimately, getting interested in the long range worlds kind of stemmed from that. Fort Hood is known for having some of the best tank ranges, and you're shooting super far, between 2,000, 2,500 meters. And the onboard ballistics does everything. You just indicate whatever tank ammunition you're shooting. Like, for example, mainly shoot sabot and heat rounds. Sabot is for, tanks. It's basically a giant depleted uranium rod going 4,000 or 5,000 feet per second. And it's going to penetrate any steel like butter and then carry so much kinetic energy that it can just liquefy basically organic matter inside of like another tank. What amazed me is how accurate it is at distance, because all we had to do is control our Cadillacs. We called it lazing and blazing. So if you're not good at ranging targets, you're not going to get good impacts. So you basically control the turret, identify the targets, laze it, make sure you get a good range, mention it to your tank commander, and basically get a permission to fire. I feel bad. It's been 12, 13 years, so I don't remember everything. I know I'm probably going to get some hate on that. But you just had to make sure that you were lasing everything properly. You put it on target, and that round is going exactly where your reticle was. The onboard ballistics is basically adjusting your gun tube to make up for that distance, similar to like what we do in this long range discipline that, F-class, PRS, NRL, ELR, kind of all of it. And I never understood that. So when I got out, I was really curious, like, how does the computer know how to do that so accurately? And the triggers on that is, much different than what we're used to. You can't jerk it or anything like that. Just a light squeeze, and there's nothing to slap or jerk. So you could have really crappy fundamentals and still get on target.
What about wind?
So there's a crosswind sensor that pops up on the back, and just like how it is for us, if people with their Kestrel up, they can only get the wind of where they're at. So you would have to account for some wind, but man, every time that we went to gunnery or training, or when we deployed and went to Kuwait, there was no wind, and that was something that I honestly never got to experience, but you do have to account for that a little bit. However, it's just giving you wind that is at your position.
I imagine how heavy is that? Let's call it the projectile. How heavy is it?
Ooh,
pretty heavy.
You got me. Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah. I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to figure out what the BC is on that thing. It's probably pretty high.
Yeah, I remember
especially
trying
at those
to
speeds that you're talking about.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up because I was really curious on the BC, because it is shaped kind of like a bullet. It does have some fins on it for stability.
Now we're over here looking it up, because now I got to know.
I want to know. Yeah, I feel bad and not like a true tanker that I know this, but I wonder if that's something that they don't disclose.
The most velocity of a Abrams tank, M1 Abrams, ranges from approximately 1580 to 1750 meters per second. About 5,200 to 5,700 feet per second. Holy smokes, man, that's fast.
Yeah, it's cruising. We had a machine gun that was coaxed with it too, which is a variant of the 240. And same thing, you get good lasers on that, you're going to be able to get on target pretty easy. The
ballistic coefficient of a fin-stabilized discarding sabot round is key factor in its performance, primarily due to the high density rod's efficiency, armor penetrating geometry, which the high ballistic coefficient, I don't think it's going to tell me what it is. but it says it's high.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
Yeah. They might not disclose that info. That could be the main reason why.
Well, how do you put that in your Kestrel then?
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
Can you imagine shooting an ELR match with that thing?
Oh,
you show
man.
up with A1 with a freaking tank. I've seen the movie Fury. So how many people are in the tank itself?
So it's been a while. I don't know if it's probably not changed because we're still using Abrams. There's a couple new variants that have some newer systems, but you basically got your driver and loader, gunner and tank commander. If you're in a pinch, you could basically just get away with 3. Most importantly, a driver, of course. But if you don't have a gunner, your tank commander can take control from his station and kind of control everything.
They do not state the ballistic coefficient value of these or any other APF SDS projectiles. So yeah, they're not published.
Yep, some hush hush.
You don't happen to have one there? You don't carry one in your pocket?
I wanted what's expended from a Sabo after you shoot it is called an aft cap. So it's like where the depleted uranium rod snapped and the rear of the cartridge, but they account for all those. You have to turn all those in once you're done. I know some people get them as like a retiring, or they're leaving their unit, that they can get approval to get one engraved as kind of like a going away present. But man, they're even regulating those.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't realize they were that fast. Because it's heavy. It's now I gotta know how. This just turned into a Google episode. Google search.
Hey, that's the point. It'd probably make.
I don't have a Jamie like somebody in the comment section. Please tell me as much as you know about these things. Okay. For example, the 120 millimeter M829 round weighs 41.1 pounds. While the M829A1 weighs 20.9 pounds, 46 pounds, kilograms. So 46. So between 41 and 46 pounds at over 5,000 feet per second. Holy crap!
Yep.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Maybe I can see how it can liquefy matter,
or why that onboard ballistic is able to do it, because it's shooting so flat.
Yeah, it's like what wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell, they could put the meter inside and it probably wouldn't change much. Holy crap, dude. Did they have a brake?
Nope. So there's no rifling. There's no brake. The whole gun recoils. But yeah, surprisingly, our gun tube, we were cleaning it and I was like looking on the inside and you could see all this like pitting, or like where rain is like took a material out. I'm like, hey, don't we need to get a new gun tube? And like, no, it doesn't matter. I was like, all right. And then we go to LFAST at gunnery, which is basically like zeroing and making sure that, everything is, you got to do a couple systems checks, like with the MRS that's on the end of the gun tube that communicates with some sensor inside to just make sure everything's aligned. And then you basically zero it and make sure everything is good to go. And then basically learn that all that pitting and surface erosion really didn't matter in that thing.
That is crazy. Well, it's got the fins, right? So
yeah, so it has these Sabo pedals on it that holds it in place, and those pedals kind of fall apart around a couple hundred yards after. So it's just stabilizing it through the bore, basically.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, what were you guys, for testing purposes, what were you guys shooting at?
So just big pieces of plywood that were painted in like white and black squares. So you kind of just find an index point similar to what we do if you're going to the range to check your zero. You're just putting it on like a cross point, so that way you can kind of see wherever you got to adjust.
Well, just a plywood. That's crazy.
Yeah. But
now, what about when you guys were trying to? Did y'all do a penetration test? I'm sure they've done all that already.
No, we didn't do that. So actually, when we're training and everything, we use Sabo training rounds. So they're going to be different just because that'd be a huge waste of depleted uranium, basically shooting into like plywood. We'd have to shoot movers that looked like tanks, but most of the time it was, in shape of wood. So an actual sabot, I imagine because you'd have to index it if you're shooting training sabots are real, like sabots you'd actually use in a combat zone, because they have some different weight to them. So it actually, whatever the computer system is actually going to index, whether it's a training round or an actual, sabot round for combat.
Did you say movers?
Yeah. You got to shoot movers at like.
Well, yeah, I guess, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, like 900 to 1,500 yards, I think, is what they usually were. There's a reticle in the tank, and you would just learn how to use the reticle when it would come to engaging movers. But again, it gets there so fast. What was it? I shot at the Night Force ELR this year. We shot a mover at like 900 something, and I think my lead was like 2 mils or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the tank, I just remember a little bit like you're not leading the target on as much. You're basically just going to one edge, and you're still going to get an impact.
Yeah, I mean, it gets there super fast. Holy crap. That's awesome. How accurate was that movie, Fury?
I really enjoyed it. It made me feel like kind of how my tank crew was. Ironically, the driver / loader, he was this, I don't know, he was a hillbilly from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude just smoked Marlboro Reds all day and drank Mountain Dew, but he could fix and repair everything on the tank and do maintenance like it was no one's business. And it was pretty great. And then, our tank commander often was someone that was very well experienced. Luckily, I had 2 tank commanders while I was in. Both of them heavily experienced. They actually, unlike me, when I was deployed, we maybe rolled in our tanks a couple times. The rest we just did foot stuff with MRAPs. But those guys were full deployments in tanks on OPs, sitting in their tanks for 24 to 48 hours, and really getting after it. So they were super experienced, kind of like that Brad Pitt guy.
48 hours in the tank. Not a whole lot of room in there, is there?
No, there's not at all. There's actually, I can't speak for other tankers, but a good friend of mine who was in his tank that long, a lot on his deployment, he ended up getting some bad issues with blood clots, which they stemmed was from basically being like in Iraq in your tank for such a long period of time, kind of scrunched. Obviously other health reasons or whatever, but that's my understanding is what he kind of dealt with, coming back, was dealing with that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's crazy. Do they at least have AC in there or no?
There's a nuclear biological chemical system, so it kind of airs out the turret. So it has these hoses that you can actually put inside your Nomex, like your overalls, and it'll cool you off. The only negative is it burns fuel and it burns up your battery, so you can only run it, every so often. So you can't run it all the time. So you're going to get you just get used to being sweaty, I guess.
Wow. That is crazy, man. That's so cool though. Like, I'm still blown away by how fast those rounds are. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, how do they push them out? Like what, powder or? Yeah.
So the shell,
I'm extremely ignorant in case you haven't noticed. So
no, you're good. So the sabot round is full of abrasive propellant, which could be Rotumbo. It could be something else. I don't know. But the entire outer casing is made out of some material that disintegrates with it as well. So that's when the shell ejects, the only thing left is like the rear cap, but the rest of the shell basically gets combusted, and the only thing left is the sabot pedals holding the sabot the sabot itself. And then once it gets through the gun tube, it kind of peels off, leaving that sabot to be stable and get to its destination.
That is so crazy because it's got to have a lot of whatever it is to push something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge round and it's super heavy. So I imagine it has a pretty ridiculous amount of propellant in it.
Yeah, I mean, the projectile itself is 40 pounds. So it sounds like they're heavy, the whole thing.
Yeah, sounds like a mission for SHOT Show to go talk to General Dynamics, who is in charge of the Abrams, to try to get some details from them.
Yeah, I may have to do that. This is a whole new rabbit hole that I must figure out because this is so crazy. Anyway, what else do you do? I mean, you shoot ELR, you shoot PRS.
So I think all the long range disciplines, I enjoy them all.
Have you done any F class?
I haven't done any F class.
Gotta get you out there one day.
Yeah, I'm totally for that. There's just nothing in our area, even close by, of anyone that kind of does anything. I'm in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and probably what prevents anything else is I'm a match director for the PRS, and then I am the Rocky Mountain North regional director for the PRS. So in our region, from my place, there's a PRS match every weekend within 40 minutes.
Wow.
And this year, they've all been selling out. So there's basically a regional PRS match happening almost every weekend, which is great for our area. And then same NRL Hunter, there is 3 within an hour. There's Nick Depperschmidt that puts on the Rattlesnake one, Colin Fawcett and Laramie and Andrew Wells, and then Dorgan Trostel and Trevor Schutz have one in Fort Collins. So there's 3 NRL Hunter matches under an hour for if you're in Cheyenne, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I just started dabbling in the ELR stuff. This year is the first time I shot Night Force ELR. Did it with a 6.5 PRC, and I got 4th overall. So I was pretty stoked about that because I was seeing, who was it? Francis Cologne shooting a 300 Norma. Ryan Bannigan, who's a kind of a Wyoming all-star, shooting 300 Norma. And then the dude that won it, Riley Foster, was doing Using Your Baby, the 7 PRCW.
Yeah, buddy.
So yeah. I was just happy to do it with a 6.5 PRC and compete with those guys. So I made my goal.
Yeah, it's amazing how good everything is nowadays. Honestly, yeah. Like cartridges. I mean, I don't think he won. I mean, it's a great round. I mean, we use it in F class. It's incredibly precise, but so is nowadays. I feel like you can get anything to shoot really well. Just we have great barrels, great bullets, great brass, great everything, and the information's out there. You know, you can find it. I mean, you can almost cut and paste from somebody else, and now you're off to the races. You know, back in the day, we didn't even have internet, but the internet that we did have, the information was just not. Everybody was trying to learn, and you know, we didn't have anything established. Like nowadays, it's like, at least for me, it's like when I'm helping somebody, I go get Lapua brass, burger bullets, bit of ori powder, Brooks, Barline, or Krieger barrels, and start there. It'll work. Once you get it working, you can deviate from that if you want to try something different, but that's kind of the blueprint, and it works every time. Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how that works, which brings a funny story. So a lot of people know who Clay Blackketter is, probably one of the best PR shooters out there. He was selling some used barrels, and he wasn't keeping an accurate round count, so he was kind of dumping them. So I made a deal with him, which the other thing I do, I created the Barrel Burner app, which got released in June, which tracks basically your cleaning schedule for all your firearms, suppressors, and tracks all your reloading components. I've just tried the whiteboards and Excel and notebooks, and being a family man, I can't ever remember to write on it. So having it in my phone is really helpful. So I told Clay, I'm like, hey, if I get this barrel, I got to make a post about you, make some content since you don't keep track of your stuff. So it's pretty funny. My like pet load for, I got a 6-dasher barrel from him. I have a pet load for dasher, and sure enough, it just hammers. Shooting, small 109, small groups with 109 burgers. It
Varget,
isn't
Varget powder.
Yeah. Yep. 30.8 with alpha brass.
Oh,
so I know you Lapua guys won't like that, but I've had great luck with the alpha stuff. And
I hear it's great. I've just never tried it.
Well, you can't because you're on Team Lapua, right?
Oh, I can. No, you don't understand how this works. I can. I just choose not to because, why fix what's not broke, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people do think that. They're like, well, of course, because he's sponsored. But they have to understand I was a shooter before I was sponsored, right? Lapua didn't come to me and go, hey, you ever think about shooting? If you shoot, we'll sponsor you. No, it was the other way around. It's like, oh, this guy's doing well. He's winning. We should probably, start a relationship. And that's how, you have to perform first, right? They don't sponsor nobody with dreams. They got to have the accolades and the medals and all that good stuff. So I chose Lapua, right? That's what I was using. I chose Burger. I chose, now it's like just kind of like you were talking about Suppressor company. There's a lot of good ones. I hear some of the other brass manufacturers have really been stepping it up, and I think it is because of Lapua that they've been stepping it up, right? And but Lapua obviously makes as good stuff as anybody. So I use that is my blueprint, right? So I just follow that blueprint.
Yeah, I load Lapua with my 308 223, and then I have a BR as well. And you just can't beat it. It's just always consistent, and just one less thing you have to think about, which is really nice.
It's like burger bullets, right? It's just so easy.
Yeah, I do use I think burger bullets for mostly everything. There's some Hornady bullets I use for like my 223, or as of right now, that's kind of it. I'm friends with the guys, a couple of them at Hornady, and I was even busted their balls like, sorry, man, I've been on the burger train and I haven't been able to get off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had Jade on the podcast. I've had Miles on the podcast. I don't, it's just, again, my blueprint is blue box for the brass and yellow box for the bullets, and so it works every time so far.
Yeah. So last week, Miles stopped into our shop to chat with him, and that dude is insanely bright. Like the stuff that he's testing and thinking about when it comes to like work. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on the precision rifle world, but that dude is thinking of, stuff people that even make bullets are thinking about. Like Hornady has a very valuable dude. I'll definitely say that.
That's good. Yeah, I've had him on the podcast. We're talking about load development because obviously I don't agree with everything they say,
yep.
But that's okay, right? I mean,
yeah.
And I think the big takeaway from that podcast was they're testing different stuff. Like their end goal is totally different than mine. Mm-hmm. Their end goal is to have ammunition that's reliable, that gives you decent precision, and at an affordable price. For me, I wanted to shoot as small as possible, and that's about it. And if it shoots tiny groups, I want them tinier,
mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the difference, right? So they're obviously testing different stuff. They there's different compromises, right?
Yeah, of course.
And of course, I think we agree to some point, and then at some point we don't, because I'm not okay with one MOA groups, I'm shooting at a 1MOA target at 1,000 yards. I can't be okay with 1MOA groups, you know. So, and we're shooting 20 shots. So, I need to have a gun that shoots sub half MOA at 1,000 yards, just for me to have a chance at shooting 1MOA. And because then you got to add the wind and mirage and everything else that goes with it. But yeah, I like the guys. They're moving everything forward, you know, and you know, obviously there's other companies doing the same thing, but I do appreciate that they're evolving. They're spreading information that helps.
Yeah.
A lot of people get into the game, kind of like we're talking about the there's so much information nowadays, and those guys have a great podcast. They put out a lot of good stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I use, you know, a bit of their stuff in a few of my rifles, and for one, I've got to shoot with Jaden and Miles quite a bit, and those dudes are just great in general.
I need to bring them out to an F-class match.
You should. That'd be interesting to see if
I believe it would be extremely interesting.
That would garner some views.
I would. Oh, dude. Okay, the wheels are turning. I would say, okay, you bring a rifle set up the way you would set it up. You know, just you set up a rifle with kind of using whatever they want to use, based on, and load it however they want to load it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can shoot with it, and then I'll say, okay, now here's my rifle, and you know, see if there's a difference. There may not be. Theirs might be shooting smaller. At which point, now I'll say, hey, well, how about you tell me what you did, because then I could use that, you know. But I think it would be extremely. I think it'd be fun, but more so, it would be I think there'd be a lot of knowledge to be gained from that. Simply trying to learn the approach they would take versus the approach that we take.
I see it as total beneficial on both parts. I just think that'd be really awesome to see, to get all their top ballisticians. You, who has a huge track record for reloading and all the placings that you've had all over the world. And the guys that are doing that would be really cool. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. And then it's like wind reading. All right, you guys, I have very little idea how the wind works. I just know how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. They know what the bullets are doing, you know, all that good stuff. I wonder how good of a wind reader they would be with the knowledge that they have versus me, that I just know that if the wind's coming from the right, I aim right.
Yep.
Now, you talked about this app. What did you call it?
Yeah.
Barrel burner app?
Yeah. So it was really hard for me to figure out a name. So it was actually one of my second or third Pro Series 2-day match. It was when the NRL, before the NRL became the NRL Hunter, the guys in Utah put on the barrel burner. For one, it's hot there. And that name always stuck with me. And then I had this idea for this app. For one, I have work guns. I have loaner rifles for my match. I really enjoy reloading and tinkering. So I shoot all different calibers. So I'm constantly reloading and buying barrels and making sure they're clean. So it's been a nightmare for me to keep track. So I had this idea. I approached our engineer at Thunderbeast, Curtis, who is a genius. I was like, hey, do you want to go in on with this? Go in on this with me. You do the coding, I'll do the marketing, sales, and kind of do all that. And he's like, yeah, sure. So about 1.5 years, 2 years, we developed it. I was just trying to make it easier for myself. So I take guns to demos for work. I take them different calibers for matches. Like, I feel like it's not good to over clean stuff. Like my PRS rifle, I've got a cleaning interval in my app that says 300 rounds, and then suppressors need clean too. So tracking all this for work was just a pain. So when it was coming up with the name, I'm like, Well, for obviously myself or like you doing this, we burn out barrels. So I thought barrel burner was kind of a catchy name. So we stuck with it. So it's just called the Barrel Burner app. And you could track as little as you want, or you could put as many details as you want. So you pick your action trigger, barrel, scope, and once you have the profile made, you just hit I shot today after you leave the range, and now you're having your round counts being tracked. And if you have your cleaning interval set, it's going to give you an alert, like a push notification, or it'll turn red in the app to tell you, like, "Hey, dumbass, you got to clean your rifle." Because I've had the mistake of either having too many rounds on it, go into a match with a pretty wicked carbon ring, or vice versa, is over cleaning it, which is just, I don't have any theory other than listening to the guy from Bartlett, and then, others from work, like, you don't have to clean stuff that much. Just, let it go and kind of go from there. But now it's turned into a pretty cool tool, so I can it tracks your ammo and reloading components. So if you have 24 pounds of Varget and you put your powder, primers, and brass in there, and you develop your ammo out of there, it's deducting. So now I know how much is left in each jug that I have of like Varget, H1000, N140, and 540. The app is telling me, like, you have 5.496 pounds of N540 left, which I think is pretty awesome. And I can just plan better for the year.
Well, I love that idea. I'm going to tell you how much I love it. I developed an app just like it. I just never pushed it out. It's going to go on the shelf because I'll just get yours because we were still working on it. So, it's like same thing, right? I got the same problem. I got a lot of barrels. I don't have that many guns, but I have a lot of barrels, and it's like keeping track of it, round count, because it's super important. I don't want to go to a match with thinking this barrel's got a lot of life left, and then all of a sudden it dies halfway through. But yeah, I have it does exactly that. It has the inventory. You put all your inventory, and then when you load your ammo, it deducts, kind of like you talk about it. It does that. So, yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah, and it's set up like that too.
Sorry to interrupt, but speaking of cleaning, I have a cleaner that we've been working on. I'm gonna send you some. I want to get your feedback because we haven't pushed it out yet we're still in the testing phase, but I want to get your feedback, see what you think about it, because it's again, I clean a lot of barrels, and I clean, not only do I clean a lot of barrels, I have to take all my cleaning stuff with me when I travel. So I had to find a way to minimize how much I take and how long it takes. So I think we have a home run, but I'm having samples made that I'm sending out to I want to beta test, and I want to get real feedback from people that are going to be using it, because I don't, I'm sure I'm biased a little bit, but I think it's a home run. But I'll send you some, and I want your feedback on it.
Yeah, we have to clean a lot of barrels for work and then my personal ones. But I kind of followed this information from this F-class shooter a few years ago. He talked about using CLR. So I've just been doing that for the last few years, and it seems to work pretty good. Oh yeah, it was you.
Oh, the CLR.
I use it if something's like bad at work, but I remember your disclaimer you put out, because CLR can be pretty harmful to stainless.
Well, people were like anything else, right? Like I was using CLR, and I told people this is a great carbon remover. Do this, and well, then they took it upon themselves to go, oh, well, I'll just fill the barrel up and leave it overnight, and things of that nature, So just like anything else, if you don't put a massive disclaimer as to, and of course, I was running a few patches through, cleaning it out, done. I did fill up. I'm guilty. I went to a match one time, and it was a silent night in Oklahoma.
Justin Watts match.
Yep. And being the F-class guy, I went over there, suppressor and all, and nobody that I was with was cleaning barrels. I had a hard time going to sleep the next day, because we didn't sleep at night. We slept during the day without cleaning my barrel. But I thought, I don't want to be that guy, so I decided I'm not going to clean. These guys don't do it. I'm not going to do it either. The second night I was blowing primers because my carbon ring built up so bad that I didn't finish the match. I mean, I did finish. I don't remember if I finished the match, but I know I was blowing primers for sure. A lot of them. And anyway, long story short, when I came back, that barrel had carbon like you can't imagine. So I was scrubbing and finally got tired of it. So I plugged the end. I filled it up with CLR. And the reason I did that, because in my opinion, that barrel was done. And I'm like, I'm going to clean it and throw it away. It was kind of an experiment. So I filled it up with CLR, and anyway, it was just a nightmare to clean. So I've done it, but I did it because it was like a last resort, and I was pissed at that barrel. But people were doing it on their regular barrels just to clean, and I'm like, don't. So anyway, so that's why the disclaimer had to be done, because it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I totally get that. You got to make disclaimers for stuff like that. But I hope when you, your cleaning videos actually made me change, and I've used CLR for maybe 30 seconds. That carbon's gone. So I've done this, but I'm cleaning barrels so much. So the fact that you're making a cleaner, because I do worry about the CLR, getting into some of the fire cracking, or you can't stop it from reacting to where it could cause damage. So I'm really interested to see like what you have for cleaning, because CLR, how well that works.
Yep.
So if you're comparing it to that, you're going to knock it out of the park. I've always used Vortec, but it always seems that it's just taking longer. So I imagine that you're going to probably make a killer one, especially if it's an all-in-one and you don't have to bring like your paste and your copper remover, carbon remover, having an all-in-one.
All-in-one. Remember 6-minute abs?
Yeah.
This is going to be 6-minute barrel cleaning.
Ooh, I like that.
That's going to be the challenge, because I can clean a barrel, and I actually haven't timed myself, but about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go for 6. So next time I clean a barrel, I'm going to time myself, and I bet you I can get that barrel clean in 6 minutes or less. It is, and it's not going to be like, it's not like crazy, like, oh, it's going to ruin your barrel. No, I'm pretty excited about it. So I'll send you some. I'll quit talking about it, because I don't want to overpromise until I actually try it and time myself. But I bet you could clean your barrels in 6 minutes.
Yeah. I'm curious now. I'll definitely try it. I exclusively only use your dyes now, too, by the way. The fact I come from getting into reloading, cheap RCBS Hornady dyes, stepping up to Redding or Forester, stepping up to like short action customs, to now where everything has moved from those. And now I just run your dyes, your sizing dye and expanding mandrel dye. I still use, I think I have a Redding bullet seeder that I use, but for the sizing and mandrel, for all my cartridges, or for the brunt, the 4, 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creed, 25 Creed, and Dasher, I've been using yours exclusively.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We still don't make a cedar dye, because
they're all good.
But if we release one, it's going to be better than anything. It has to be. Otherwise, what's the point? And that's kind of how I look at things. I'm not going to sell you something just to sell it to you. We manufacture small groups. That is our motto. If it's not going to help you shoot smaller, we're not going to make it. What's the point, right? Mm-hmm. So we do have some prototype cedar dyes. They work great, and we're just trying to make them better, because they have to. If we release one, it has to be better than anything else that's available, and that's it. So if until then, we're just not going to release one. We just didn't want to say, oh, we're making a full length Sizen die. We have to make a cedar die. No, you can buy our full length Sizen die. That is the brunt of the work that's performed when you're making, resizing brass. And of course the mandrel die, right? Mm-hmm. The cedar die, you can get, you just pushing a bullet into the case. It just has to be lined up properly. And there's a lot of companies that already make a good cedar die. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I really like how you can adjust the dials on yours to adjust the shoulder bump, because all the other ones don't do that. You have to use the whole die, right? To loosen it, double check it. Yours has just been easy, especially with burning through barrels, and I'm trying to use the same brass. Man, it's just a piece of cake.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you. Well, Sam, thank you so much. This has been eye-opening, especially the tank stuff. That was crazy. But yeah, I hope the suppressor stuff gets a little better. Hopefully they do. They just kill. They actually do kill the stamp tax, and then also just get rid of it all. That way we can just go and buy them off the shelf.
Have you been paying attention to the PRS this year?
I have not.
There has been, I think Silencer Co., so I give props to them. They're paying out to the top suppressor shooter for the PRS, a pretty big check.
Okay.
It's $5 or $10,000. And there's a suppressor division now. So there is a large number of suppressed PRS shooters now. For example, my PRS regional match, I've been putting it on since 2019. And if you're running a suppressor, you're kind of the minority. And now I'm sold out this weekend. I have 72 signed up, and I think 44 are suppressed.
Wow.
And that's been going a lot for not only the ones in our area, but kind of all over. There's a pretty large number of suppressed shooters, which is pretty cool for not only us, but just suppressors in general. Nothing's more fun than being in a suppressed only squad, for a 2-day match, just because it's nice and comfortable, and you can just have foamies in, and you can talk to everyone, and pretty good experience.
Yeah. No, they are nice. Now, I just had a question that popped into my head. If you're shooting production class, mm-hmm. I assume the suppressor doesn't count towards that, right?
Nope. So okay. Laurel Aikenhead, if you're familiar, she's one of the ladies that kind of dominates right now. She shoots production for Ruger, and we decided it's kind of like a partial sponsorship, because we don't sponsor really anyone. Just we don't have the capacity to keep up with it. But, we got her a can of her choice, and she's been killing it with it. But that doesn't go against her production status, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Good stuff, man. Sam, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. This has been extremely informative.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Barrel Burner app. I'm sure it's on the App Store.
It is. It's on Google and Apple. There's a website, and there's social media as well on Instagram and Facebook.
Good stuff, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.